Author, TV personality, and celebrity financial coach, Lynn Richardson.
Just bring in financial expert Lynn Richardson.
My girl, Lynn Richardson.
We have Dr. Lynn Richardson. Good morning.
Financial expert Lynn Richardson.
Lynn knows what's up.
Lynn Richardson is a financial coach and also the author of Estate Planning Made Simple. Okay, good to see you.
Joining us now, life coach and financial expert Lynn Richardson.
We're joined by financial expert Lynn Richardson, author of Get Your Money Back, Tax Deductions You Never Knew About.
Be at peace with the money that you have, because everybody knows money cannot buy happiness.
To learn more about Lynn Richardson's webinars, books, and online courses, please go to lynnrichardson.com.
Hello, hello. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much. We are almost at the home stretch, and I am telling you that we are about to have a discussion and a class that is very, very near and dear to my heart. And I'm just excited about it all. So before we get started, I want to make sure you can see my screen so we don't have that technical difficulty that we had a little while ago. Okay, awesome. I am told you can see my screen. So I'm so excited because I have something so special today, a checklist that I have literally been living by for the past 30 years or so. And this checklist never goes out of style. It never, it's just been timeless. And I'm excited about what it's going to do for you and your future and your family. So why don't we just go on and get started? On the screen now, you should see where we have been, where we are, and where we are going. And so we have made it all the way down to number 7, maximize your credit health. And I just have to say thank you so much to the Delta Research and Educational Foundation, to Toyota, and to everyone who's working behind the scenes to help this be great. And thank you to each and every one of you for showing up. And for showing up for yourself, showing up for your families, and showing up for your community. We're going to go on and just do a very, very quick review. So please do not attempt to copy or to write anything here because I'm going to go through these screens very, very quickly so we can get to the meat and potatoes of today's discussion. This is all about wellness. Literacy is not the term that we wanted to understand. Because literacy, in my mind, I think of it as literally the ability to actually read. But literacy can go to the next step with comprehension, with application. And so wellness, in my opinion, goes beyond literacy. It goes beyond knowledge. It moves into your mindset. And so according to Pfizer, wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis to attain better physical and mental health outcomes, so that instead of just surviving, you are actually thriving. And this definitely applies to our financial situation as well. So stair step number 1 was to spend less money. Hope you are still moving along, living by the 10, 10, 30, 50. The first 10% is tithing or giving. Listen, the holidays are upon us. So that 10%, you may need to put that away, because if you want to buy Christmas toys or Christmas gifts, or if you're into, feeding everybody for Thanksgiving or for the homeless. As a matter of fact, we are going to have a huge, huge, huge Thanksgiving drive. And so I'm going to put an extra 10% away just for that, so we can help feed the homeless for Thanksgiving here in the Los Angeles area. So that first 10% is for tithing or giving, 10% for saving, 30% is for your incidentals like groceries, gas, hair, nails. If it doesn't fit, get rid of it. The remaining 50% stays in your checking account for your bills. And if you don't have enough money, subtract. And if you have more than enough money, it's time to get rid of your debt so that your money can start to work for you. Okay. And stair step number 2 is to get more money. So 1 is to spend less money. Now you have a little more money in your pocket, but maybe that's not enough. Well, you got to go and get more money, because one stream of income is hazardous to your wealth. and you want to think about, as you come upon the new year, you want to do something new and different, think about the 4 areas of income: employee income from the job you work, self-employment from your home-based business, business income from a system that you're able to franchise, and now you get to Okay, I don't know what happened there. My system completely crashed. It just literally stopped working and the screen went black. But thank goodness we were only in the review, and I'm going to speed us up so that I can get us right where we need to be before 10 minutes after the hour. So let me just go through my check here to make sure you can see my screen. Let me just make sure you can see my screen. And I'm going to ask my team if you can see my screen. Just checking to see. Yes, you can see my screen. So that is awesome and amazing. And here we go. So we were just reviewing very quickly. We are here at week number 7 for our financial health and wellness journey that we are taking together. And stair step number 2 is to get more money, because one stream of income is hazardous to your wealth. You want employee, self-employment, business income from other systems that you can leverage using other people's time, and then investment income, money that works and just comes in. Stair step number 3 is to get your money back. Start a home-based business so you can increase your cash flow and minimize your taxes with access to hundreds of deductions like your cell phone, like your gas in your car, your mileage when you take a business trip. All of these things are tax deductible. I am going to the regional retreat for my region, for my organization, and it is a business trip for me. Yes, I'm going to talk about money. I'm going to do individual consultations. And yes, I'm still going to enjoy the entertainment, but my purpose is for business. So those are the things you want to start to think about, because yes, you want to spend less money, you want to get more money, but who doesn't want to get their money back? If somebody is passing out money I already spent, I want to go and get it. So stand in line, get out of my way, because I want to get it back, and you should too. Stair step number 4 is to make your money grow, because money will work harder for you than you can work for it. You want to think about your IRA, and if you're self-employed, you can do a 401k if you're employed, but if you're self-employed, you can open a solo 401k, and you can be in a position to save hundreds of thousands of dollars, but more importantly, be in a position to be well over 7 figures by retirement. Okay, let's think about it. If you're 40 years old and you're making a decent salary, and you decide to put some of that salary into your 401k, your solo 401k, you'll have $3 million in 20 years. Okay, and the beautiful thing about it is you can borrow from yourself and pay yourself back. Stair step number 5, protect your wealth. Make sure that you are looking at your life insurance, your business, disability, and key man insurance, pension, long-term care, and your estate plan. This entire series is designed to help you go step by step. So do not get overwhelmed. As you check off one thing, then give yourself a pat on the back, because you are making progress. And progress is what this is all about. Stair step number 6 was to own where you live. Don't pay your landlord's mortgage, pay your own. Make sure you understand the benefits of home ownership versus renting, overcoming denials, the kiddie condo, the FHA 203K, and we are underutilizing the reverse mortgage for seniors who are in dire financial straits. So we want to understand these programs. They are authorized by the federal government. No one's coming to take your house. It's all about getting the knowledge. Knowledge is not power until it is put into action. So now, great, we are right on time. Stair step number 7 is to maximize your credit. Maximize your credit health. It's better to have credit and not need it than to need it and not have it. The following excerpt that I'm going to share with you now was taken from Acts of Faith by Iyanla Vanzant. And whenever I speak about credit, I share this because this statement literally changed my life. I think I was in the middle of my first bankruptcy. I was a young mother, a young wife, a young executive, just trying to make it. Did not realize just how dire my financial situation was. It became very clear to me that once I started having children, my financial needs expanded immensely, but I did not have the discipline. So I want to share this with you, and maybe you can just even close your eyes for just a moment. Either close your eyes, but I want you to stop writing, and I want you to just listen to my voice. When you are experiencing financial chaos, your primary goal is to be free of debt. This requires discipline and structure. You may rebel against the notion of discipline because it feels as if you are being punished. But you must realize that you are punishing yourself. When you live beyond your means, if you spend without a budget, if you live without a plan, you are punishing yourself and your creditors. When you are in debt, spending money without discipline means you are spending other people's money. Let me repeat. When you are in debt, spending money without discipline means you are spending other people's money. You are withholding from the flow. You are blocking your abundance. If lack of discipline puts you in debt, only discipline will get you out. As hard as it may be, as unfair as it may seem, your money is not your money when you are in debt. Give what you have to those whom you owe if you want your money to be rightfully yours. Let me tell you, the first time I read it, I cried, I felt guilty, but more important than crying and feeling guilty, my heart changed. My heart changed and my mind changed. And although things did not change for me the next day, I started a pathway that led to where I am today. I had to take a long, hard look at what I was actually doing. And it made so much sense, even though it was so painful. It was so painful for me to recognize that when I got my paycheck, that my money did not belong to me. It belonged to the people I promised to pay. But because I was not living in order, I was refusing to, or quite frankly, in some cases, I simply did not have the ability to pay. If I had $1,000, but I owed $2,000, there was a shortfall. So these are the things that I want to talk about as we talk about maximizing your credit. Millions of Americans, African Americans, Latina in particular, do not enjoy the benefits of living in a free society and a democratic political system because of poor credit. It's nice to drive a fancy car, have designer clothes and jewelry, and a house full of brand new furniture. But what does it all really mean if 6 months down the line, our credit cards are charged to the max? We can't respond to financial emergencies without having to borrow money from others. We're denied the opportunity to rent a nice apartment because of poor credit history. Let me explain something to you right now. Being on this path towards financial health and wellness, it's not a choice anymore. It is a requirement. Earlier this year, I started doing emergency webinar alerts because the credit system has changed. It is more difficult for some people to rent a nice apartment than it is to buy a home. Let me repeat. It is more difficult for many individuals to rent a nice apartment than it is to buy a decent home. Because after the pandemic, the credit guidelines for renting have changed. One, in many cases, you need to make 3 times your rent in income. So if your rent is $2,500, they want to see that you make at least $7,500. That's very difficult for some people to show that they make 3 times their income every month. And in some cases, they're looking at your take-home pay. So it's important because at one time, if you did not have a credit score to buy, then you could rent. But now you need a good credit score to rent. So it's imperative that we maximize our credit health. If you want to purchase a car and are unable to take advantage of leasing opportunities and financing specials, whenever I go in to buy a car, first of all, I'm looking for the car that I find online that is the least expensive in its year or class, that still has a certifiable warranty. And I'm looking at what I'm going to pay. Now, sometimes I pay cash and other times I choose to lease if it's for the business. But regardless of what I choose, I'm able to make those decisions if my credit score is working with me and not against me. Or even worse, what about if we can't take advantage of the American dream and purchase our very own home? So we want to start to think about all of the ways that our credit is able to assist us in achieving overall financial health and wellness. So I want you to think about this worldview. How can we expect respect when we are more interested in buying material things for our children than we are in teaching them responsible credit behavior? A good name is more valuable than great riches. I remember a time when it was so important to me to make sure my kids got everything they wanted for Christmas, as much as I could buy. I remember my oldest daughter, when she was 2 years old, there was only one child, but there were 2 parents, 3 shopping carts, walking through Toys R Us, buying things for Christmas. I remember one year for Christmas, buying so many gifts and charging every credit card that I had for family members and friends and everybody who was coming over. And it didn't hit me until I was still paying those same credit card bills, and they were still at the max 1 year later. So the next year, I didn't have any credit to buy anything for Christmas because I'd used it all up the previous year, and the people had gotten the gifts and probably had forgotten about me. Credit concept. Consistent financial responsible habits warrant respect, social stature, and economic power. So if you want respect, if you want social stature, if you want economic power, let's start to line that up with good financial habits. They say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I say a healthy financial heart is a terrible thing to throw away. You want to be in alignment with what you know is right in your own heart when it comes to maximizing your credit health. Does this mean we should hoard thousands of dollars in the bank and dress in rags? No. It simply means if we work hard, we deserve to play hard. If we pay our bills on time, if we save for a rainy day, if we take care of our needs first, then there's nothing wrong with satisfying a few wants. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's look at life rule number 1. Until we become disciplined enough to handle the great responsibility and gift of credit, the primary use of credit should be to supply our needs, not satisfy our wants. Let me explain what I mean by that. Certainly you need credit if you want even just electricity. You can't go buy the electric company. So you need to use credit for that. Yes, you may need credit to purchase a vehicle. Everyone doesn't have enough money saved to go buy a car straight off of the lot. And for some people, that may not be the wisest thing to do from a healthy perspective or from a safety perspective. So you may need to get a loan to pay for a car. You may need to get credit from the electricity company. You may need to obtain credit to put braces on your teeth or to do some orthodontist work for your child. But those are needs. We don't need a credit card to buy a purse. I'll never forget. I was so in love with this one particular luxury purse company. And I'll never forget, I bought this purse in 1997. I'll never, ever forget it. I bought the purse. The mall was one of the biggest malls in the state. And I'd go there regularly. And I went to a luxury store, bought the luxury purse. I bought it on my luxury credit card. And in 6 months, I didn't even like the purse anymore. I was still paying for a purse I didn't really like. I didn't feel the same way about the purse 6 months later, but I was still paying for it. I should not have been using credit to satisfy my wants. I should only have been using necessary credit to supply my needs. And so that's what I'm proposing that we all adopt as life rule number 1. Let's take a look at another worldview. Am I expected to pay my creditors when there is no food on the table? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. Yes, there was a time when I did not have any money at all. I filed bankruptcy during the recession of 2008, when houses were upside down, when real estate was underwater, when the stock market crashed and I lost my 401k. I was on food stamps. I was on food stamps in this century, in this lifetime. I will never, ever forget it. I could not pay anyone. I ended up choosing bankruptcy as an option, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, because I did not have the ability to do anything. Even if I got a job, putting new good money into old debt was not in my best interest. So I took advantage of the laws that allow me to wipe the slate clean. But when I wiped the slate clean, guess what I also gave back? I gave back my beautiful luxury Lexus vehicle. I wasn't just going to pick which debt I was going to keep. I gave it all away. And I was lucky enough, I was blessed enough that a family member allowed me to purchase a $1,500 car that had no air. I had to use the actual thing on the side of the door. I don't even know what you call it, to roll up the window. There was no power, there was no air, but I also had no debt. And that car got me from one place to the next. So, credit concept. Survival dictates extreme measures. Living dictates responsible measures. You may be in a survival state. You may be in a situation that requires extreme measures. But when you get out of those extreme measures, now it's time to be responsible. Think about the way you feel when someone owes you money and they dodge you on payday, forget to return your call, or treat you like a common criminal. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody has a cousin. Everybody has a friend. Everybody has a child. Everybody has somebody who has dodged you when it was time to pay you back. What do? We become angry, resentful. We call people, and what do we say? It's not the money. It's what? The principle. Exactly. Creditors feel the same way. When we walked away with that product or service, we made a promise to pay. When you got off the phone and you signed up for your electricity, you made a promise to pay. When you went into the department store and you used your credit card to buy that new outfit, even though you already had 25 outfits, you made a promise to pay. And so if we are not able to adhere to that promise, then what we should do is we should make that same phone call. Now, had that family member or friend, and unfortunately, many of us have lost relationships. Relationships have ended because of money that we owe. So sometimes it's just best to be honest. It's always best to be honest and say, hey, I thought I was going to have the money to pay you, but I didn't. I'm living check to Monday. I didn't get my check. My check was too short, but my account is overdrawn, whatever it is. And chances are the person you're talking to is going to say, pay me what you can or pay me when you can. So life rule number 2 is what it should say at the bottom. Life rule number 2 is to treat your creditors as you would have your debtors treat you. It's very simple. It's the golden rule of life. Treat your creditors as you would have your debtors treat you. That's one of the key components of life, to treat people how you want to be treated, not how they treat you. Treat your creditors as you would have your debtors treat you. A simple phone call could change things. So now I want to move on over to the credit responsibility checklist. And let me just take a look at this credit responsibility checklist. Let me get us to another screen. I want to get us to another screen for the credit responsibility checklist. Okay, I want to make sure my team can confirm with me that you can actually see the credit responsibility checklist on the screen. Let me just see. Thank you for your patience as we make sure we have all of our technical things in order. Okay. So 1, here's how you respect and protect your credit. Number 1, check your credit reports at least once a year to ensure that accurate information is reported. Now, I'm going to take it a step further. I check my credit every day. You can go and get a free credit report at TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Each credit report should arrive within 10 business days of your request. And you can also take a look at the electronic options. Many of them can be delivered to you right away. I also sign up for a credit monitoring service, and I get that service through myfico.com. Myfico.com is the way that I guarantee that my credit score is exactly where it's supposed to be. So if I'm applying for a mortgage, I want to be sure that my mortgage credit score is sufficient in order for me to be able to go into the bank and get approved. The only place to get a true credit score is at myfico.com. You can get all 3 of your credit scores. You can choose the monthly monitoring service, or you can get it once a quarter or once a year, pay the $35 or $40, and then cancel the service. But not only do I look at my credit report every single day, I also look at the credit reports of my children and my husband. Make sure you have the following information when requesting a copy of your credit report. Make sure you know your address for the past 5 years, your telephone number, your social security, date of birth, and your gender. Make sure that that is referenced because it will be asked. Make sure your credit is reported under a consistent name. So this is something that I'm going to encourage you to take a look at. Do you use your middle initial or don't you? Do you use your entire middle name or don't you? Whenever you apply for credit, ensure that you are using the exact same process to apply for credit. That way you can more quickly identify if credit is being used unfairly and or if someone has stolen your identity. Item number 3 on the checklist. If you are not married, be cautious when applying for joint accounts. So I just want to make sure, let me just stop here because my team is telling me to hit the slideshow, but this is not a slideshow. So I just want to make sure my team can see item number 2 or item number 3 on the screen. Please let me know yes or no. Okay, so you cannot see item number 2 or 3 on the screen. Can you tell me what exactly you see on the screen right now? Can you send me a screenshot? Team, please show me what you can see on the screen. And I apologize for this error. I apologize for the delay, everyone. We've still got a good time here. Please let me know what you can see on the screen, please. Okay. So the credit responsibility checklist that you should see does not look like what I'm looking at. So let me make sure you can actually see what I'm looking at. Thank you so much. Here I am. Okay, I'm going to choose this again. Okay, now do you see the credit responsibility checklist? And it says number 1, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Do you see that now on the screen? Please let me know if you see my screen. Okay, excellent. All right, here we go. So you're going to check your credit reports at least once a year. And don't worry if you missed this. I'm going to move on to number 2 and number 3 so we can get through all of the content and then go through Q&A. But you will be able to obtain this credit responsibility checklist from me. Okay, you'll be able to obtain it. Don't worry about that. Number 2, make sure your credit is reported under a consistent name. For example, John A. Smith, not Johnny Smith, not John Smith. You want to be consistent with having your credit reported so that you can quickly identify what's correct and what's incorrect. Number 3, this is very important. If you are not married, be cautious when applying for joint accounts and co-signing for other individuals. I'm also going to say if you are married, be cautious when applying for joint accounts and co-signing for other individuals. One of the things that I suggest to married couples is that you don't put every asset in both of your names. The reason why you don't want to put the assets in both names is if you get into a credit crunch and you can't pay your bills, then everybody's credit, it will be ruined if a payment is missed. So it's, in many cases, it's better, one, to understand the laws of your state, because in many states, you have a community property situation. So even if your name is not on the property, you own it anyway. And in other states like Illinois, it's a marital property state. So even if my husband buys the home and my name is not on the mortgage, I'm still an owner of that property because it's a marital property state. I don't need to put my name on the mortgage just to be in that position. So you want to be careful about those items. You want to be careful about co-signing, whether you're married or not. Number 4, be careful about adding your name as an authorized buyer to other people's accounts. In most cases, these accounts show up on your credit report as well. Now, I added my children as authorized users on my credit accounts. So when they turned 18, they all had exceptional credit. Everybody has credit scores in the high 700s. And I think that my oldest daughter is going to beat us all to 800. I'm very proud of that. But I also ensured that I only added them as authorized buyers to accounts that I was sure were going to have a very low balance and was going to help them. If you are an authorized buyer on someone else's account, if they don't pay that credit card, it's going to impact you. If they charge too much on the credit card, it's going to impact you. So when you are an authorized user on somebody else's account, it could hurt you, but it could also harm you. So be sure that you have the ability to see what's happening, to log into that statement, and to pay that bill if necessary. Consider applying for a secured credit card or loan in order to reestablish damaged credit or build new credit. Number 5 is very important. So if you have, unfortunately, if you've had past credit issues, you want to reestablish credit, but you also want to reestablish it through a reputable entity. And although I do not often share individual names of companies, I will share that today. If you are applying for a secured credit card, you may want to take a look at Bank of America. They do offer a secured credit card. You may also want to take a look at Citibank. Citibank offers a secured credit card. And Discover. Discover also offers a secured credit card. You'll send $1,000 or $1,500 or $500 or whatever that number is, and they will issue you a credit line. What I love about these 3 entities is when they show up on your credit report, other future creditors look at you as if you have reputable credit. These are higher end credit lines. Every credit line is not created equally. So there are some second and third and fourth class banks, but those banks do not necessarily show that you are a good credit risk. As a matter of fact, there are some banks and some secured credit cards. I'm going to tell you, if someone sees it on your credit report, they're going to know that you had bad credit, or they're going to know that you had trouble. But when they see Bank of America, major lenders like Bank of America, Citibank, and Discover, then they say, oh, you have reputable creditors, and so we want to be a part of that. The reason I named these entities is because they are the 3 mainstream entities that I am aware of. I do not know if Chase has a secured credit card. The last time I checked, they did not. I do not know if some of the other major banks, but you can always reach out to your institution to find out if they offer a secured credit card. But these are 3 of the mainstream entities, and they look good on your credit report. I'm just going to keep it as simple as that. Okay. If you are married or plan to be married, try to avoid getting joint accounts for miscellaneous credit cards. The smallest bills are often the ones we forget to pay. In addition, in a time of financial crisis, it's good to have at least one person's credit open and available. I said this earlier, and I'm reiterating it again on your credit responsibility checklist. So this is very important. I remember being in financial trouble. I pay the $100 bill, but then I wouldn't pay the $20 credit card bill. And that $20 credit card bill was showing up 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late. I was ruining my life over $20. Okay. So you have to pay all of those bills that are showing up in your credit report. And for some of you, even your utilities may show up on your credit report. So you want to make sure that those things are taken care of. Number 7, if you buy something on credit today, think about how you are going to feel if you are still paying for it 6 months later. Now, I bought a house a few years ago. I love paying my mortgage every month. But that purse, I was so irritated with myself. I was so irritated with myself for buying that purse and still having to pay for it and not having enough money. So that's something you want to think about. It will change your mind. I'm telling you, there are times when I walk into a store or I pick something up and I'm so good. I travel a lot with my celebrity clients and my celebrity business partners. And I'll be in the store in the airport, and I'll go to one of those stores that sell all the electronics, and I'll see something that I want. I'm a fanatic for buying new cords and a new charger and a new this and a new that, and sometimes I'll pick it up and I'll say, you know what? If I still want this when I come back through this airport, then I'll get it. Most of the time, I do not. So think about what you're buying. and think about it, how you're going to feel about it later. Get a bank card in your name and keep a savings or a checking account in your name. I'm going to tell you, there are people out there who say you do not need any credit. There are people out there who will tell you, live debt free, don't ever use a credit card. I'm going to tell you, I disagree. It's much better to have credit and not need it than to need it and not have it. And if you are using a debit card for everything, you are not getting points. And I'm going to tell you, I get thousands of dollars of free airfare every single month because I use my credit card. I pay it off every month, and then I cash in the points for things that I'm going to pay for anyway. People say you can't get rich off of points. I say, no, you can't, but you can stay rich. You can stay healthy. You can stay wealthy. You can stay living beneath your means and having extra money. You need a savings and a checking account in your name. You cannot live solely off of Zelle. What is the other one? PayPal, Cash App. Well, if you have Zelle, chances are you do have a bank account. And you need a reputable bank account. Get a reputable bank account. It's okay to have an account with maybe your local credit union. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm also saying get a national bank account with an entity so that you can take advantage of certain things you may need at a time in your life when you may need it. You may also be in a situation, I know people who the only account that they have is their local credit union, and then they're traveling and something happens. And so at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday night, they can't get anyone at their credit union. Okay. So you want to make sure you have an account and you've got access to money someplace where you can get the help if you need it at odd hours of the day or weekends and on holidays. Get rid of your department store credit cards. The interest rates are ridiculously high. And if you're really in an emergency situation, you can use your bank card if it has been utilized responsibly. When they ask you, when you walk into the department store to go get a new pair of shoes or an outfit, and they tell you, hey, do you want to apply for credit so you can save 10%? You should say, no, I don't want to apply for credit so I can save 10% if I'm going to have to pay 30% when I get the bill. It doesn't add up. Okay. So we want to ensure that we are using our credit responsibly and that we've got the right kind of credit. Minimize your usage of cash station and debit cards. They represent an endless supply of money that may or may not be available for reckless spending. That's why I said in the 10-10-30-50 to put that 10%, put that 30% on a separate debit card. It should not be on the same debit card as your bills. It should not be on the same, you should not be using the same debit card for your bills that you use to go out and buy lunch. They should be two separate things. So many people get lost. Some say money talks, but I say money walks away from you quietly and you don't know where it went. It would be nice if a dollar said, I'm about to bounce up out of here. When you come find me, I will not be there. It would be nice if money did talk, but it does not. So you want to control that. If you get into a financial crisis, let your creditors know immediately. I'm also going to give you some sample credit letters as a part of your homework assignment and as a part of the follow-up. Respect your credit and your credit will respect you. If you get into a situation, contact your creditor. Ask for a credit, a deferment, a forbearance, a temporary suspension of payment. Ask them for 3 months, 4 months. And at the end of that 3 or 4 months, ask them again. If you speak to someone on the phone and they can't help you, ask for their boss. If they can't help you, ask for their boss. And if you keep talking to people and you're not getting any answers, ask for the most qualified executive. Let me repeat, ask for the most qualified executive. Number 12 was to respect your credit and your credit will respect you. Number 13, as a part of your credit, pay yourself first, start a savings plan. A savings account will increase your discipline factor and keep you from using unnecessary credit in all crisis situations. So that's another reason why saving is important, to help create an emergency fund so you do not have to always be in a situation using your credit. Teach your children and grandchildren to be financially responsible. Parents with bad credit, in some cases, have children who grow up and repeat those same cycles. Parents with good credit often have the same effect. But if you're like me and you made mistakes, don't let that stop you. Put the new practices in place today and teach your children and grandchildren and godchildren and nieces and nephews the same. Think about savings and budgeting and gifts and bonuses and allowance and working and borrowing or repaying. Teach them about the effects of all of these different things. If you have filed or will file bankruptcy, remember that this is your chance to prove yourself to yourself. You will be eligible to obtain new credit and even to purchase a new home in 2 years or less. People who file bankruptcy and recover are much better off than people who keep bad credit for 5, 10, 15 years. It's your opportunity to wipe the slate clean and enjoy the benefits of credit responsibility. What do we do when we sow the seed of irresponsibility, overspending, and lack of discipline? We have illness. And that illness shows up in lawsuits, judgments, headaches, stress, low self-esteem, distrust, marital problems, relationship issues. All of those deplete our wellness. But the benefits of good credit are endless. Peace of mind, tax savings, insurance, better insurance rates, employment opportunities, healthy relationships, better interest rates, self-confidence, home ownership. If you want to live in an urban community and you want to live in a newer apartment that does not have rodents and bugs, you're going to have good credit. The only places that are allowing people to live without good credit is those places where nobody wants to live. So the benefits of good credit are endless. And I want us to continue to keep all of those things in mind. Now, the last few moments of our checklist, because we lost a little bit of time because my computer crashed. So we got about three more minutes to go. So we're a little bit over, but then we're going to take a break and start Q&A. Here's some tips if you want to become a homeowner. Pay off all of your past due bills, collection accounts, and judgments. Pay them off. Pay your rent and car note on time each and every month. Pay off your credit cards and throw them away, but don't close the account. If you close the account, it may negatively impact your credit score, but don't use them anymore. Cut them up and have a burial service for them. Pay your utilities, especially the smaller ones, on time each and every month. NICOR is a gas company that's on your credit report. Utility bill is a good source of credit when applying for a mortgage if you have no other credit sources. So some people don't have any credit. You may have to use non-traditional credit. You may have to use your light bill, your gas bill, your cable, your insurance, your cell phone, your telephone bill to show that you can pay your bills on time. That's perfectly acceptable when applying for a mortgage. You may not have a Visa or MasterCard. You may not have a car note, but you can use these items. Number 5, keep detailed records of all of your financial transactions. Keep your bank statements, your money order receipts, your paycheck stubs, canceled checks, letters to your creditors, child support stubs. Keep everything so you can document what you may need in the event of a financial transaction. Once you've demonstrated the ability to pay your bills on time consistently for a 12-month period, the dream of home ownership may be a reality. So even if you've had credit issues in the past, just focus on 12. There were 12 disciples. There are 12 months in the year. There are 12 times on the clock. Focus on the number 12. And if you can pay your bills on time for 12 months, you can most often get approved for a mortgage, and we can explain the previous poor credit situation. Be careful to ensure, that should say insure with an E, there are no overdrafts in your checking accounts. Underwriters view this as a form of credit responsibility. So no overdrafts. After Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 bankruptcy has been filed, pay all of your monthly obligations on time. Mortgage companies do not discriminate against individuals who have filed bankruptcy. However, an applicant who files bankruptcy and continues to demonstrate financial irresponsibility is a major credit risk. Date your checks. If you're still paying bills with checks, Date your checks a few bills before the date bills are due, even if you have to mail them in within the grace period. So let's just say, for example, your rent is due on the 1st. Date it for the 1st. If you don't mail it in until the 3rd or 4th, at least on the 1st, if you have to show canceled checks, it shows the date, the intended date of payment. Okay, so that's one of those little tricks you can use so that you don't have to explain something later. If you've been a victim of a financial crisis, keep all paperwork that could be presented to document your situation. If you had a health issue, if there was something during COVID, if you've gone through a divorce, if you were a victim of theft or identity crisis, keep everything so you can document later what has happened to you. Mortgage companies will tend to look favorably upon your situation if you have a documentable financial crisis, such as loss of job, natural disaster, divorce, or major illness. Do not think that it's over simply because you've had a crisis in the past. In order to get approved for a mortgage, you should also be able to demonstrate a decent credit history prior to the crisis. This may all seem like you're subject to unnecessary scrutiny, but remember Iyanla's wise words. If lack of discipline puts you in debt, only discipline will get you out. In addition, although we have all fallen short at some time or another, the beautiful thing is that there's always a second chance. Use your second chance wisely. Okay, so this ends our presentation for today. I'm going to turn it back over to our moderators and organizers, and then I'm going to come back for Q&A.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I am Barbara Mosley Davis. I know you were expecting Dr. Rogers, but you know it is HBUC homecoming time, and so Rogers is off at homecoming at Hampton University, and I am sitting in for her tonight. And I do have some winners tonight. We have been asking you questions and trying to find out some of the things that you've already done. But first, before I do that, I also want to say that we're going to put a link in the chat, and it's going to give you a link to a survey. And we want everyone to click on the link before we end our session tonight, but don't do it while we're talking and while you're getting this good information. But we want everyone to answer the survey, because we want to bless more additional people with prizes, if you will. And so we picked people doing the live session, but if you answer the survey later on the week, tomorrow or early next week, I will be looking at the responses and will be picking additional winners for prizes. So tonight, I want to announce the prizes that we have for tonight. We have an early bird prize, and the first person on was T. Tucker 66. So she will get a e-gift card of $50. Also, another e-gift card we want to give to Monica P, because she has given herself some homework. She has listed for us some of the homework that she is doing. She wants to set up an estate plan. She wants to launch a consulting business, but she has given herself some time to make sure she have all her ducks in a row in order to do that. So for Monica, you will also get a $50 e-gift card. And we tried to ask questions about things that has already occurred during the course of this series. And so several weeks ago, Dr. Richardson talked about a high yield savings account. And so we asked you the question, have you done any research? What did you find and what did you do? We have several people who did their research and actually opened a high yield savings account. Paris C is one of the people who have already opened a high yield savings account. Another person who is working on her strategies, Studious Persons. She plans to pay down her debt. She didn't say what it was or what the amount was, but it's always a good thing to pay down your debt and try to get as close to being debt-free as possible. Stephanie J. She plans to open a 4.3% high yield savings account. So she has also done her work. In addition to that, she plans to do some work on setting up her estate plan. Now, we also wanted to find out anybody who had already started their home businesses. Grace L., she has started a business called Crafty Creative Design. So we're going to send you also, not a gift card, but these people that I'm naming now, you will get a book that's relevant to tonight's topic. And that book is called Credit Score Mastery. And that will be sent from Amazon through the office at the DREF office. The last name that I want to share with you has won a prize is Anitra C. She has adopted the strategy to pay her bills once a month. And so we want to thank each and every one of you for being on. We want to thank you for sharing what you've been doing, and that the information that Dr. Richardson is sharing with us is sitting well with you. I can see from the comments that many people are sitting coming in early with pen in hand, waiting for the great information that Dr. Richardson has given us over these 7 weeks. We got one more week to go for the information that she's going to share on the journey. And we have 2 weeks to go to answer all questions that you may have in the next 2 weeks. So make sure you put on your calendar that you have one more week. Next week is going to be adopt a given mindset, because you have now created this wealth for yourself, and you wanted to share with your church, with your community, with people who are less fortunate than you are. So next week's topic is adopt a giving mindset. And the weeks 9 and 10 is going to be the question and answer session. So with that, I will turn it back over to the tech team and say thank you and good night. But I will come on in the end and say good night for sure. And thank you so much, Dr. Richardson, for all the work that you are sharing with us, because we all need something. Even those of us who think that we know something, we always can learn something more. And I think I have done that during these past 7 weeks that I have been sitting here and doing this for DREF. Thank you. And I'll see you later.
Yes, thank you so much for being a part of the team to select me to do this. It is an honor. And when we first started talking about this, I said I was going to share some things that people probably didn't know, lots of nuggets. And so to hear you say that you're learning something, it makes my heart smile. So thank you so much.
I've opened up that high yield account myself.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go on over here to Q&A. So let me just get my screen ready for you. I've actually got to do something before Q&A. I have to tell you what your homework is. So, you should be able to see my screen now. And I just want to confirm that you can actually see my screen. I'm going to go all the way down to where we are for homework. And I'm going to ask my team if you can see the homework on the screen. Because for whatever reason, I can't see the screen and myself. So I can't see what you see. I can only see my screen and that's it. So this is awesome. This is great. So your homework assignment is to order your three bureau credit report. I apologize. It should order your credit 3 bureau report. I guess that's fine too. So you can do that at myfico.com. That's what I recommend. If you cannot afford to do that, or if it's not timely for you right now, make that a goal that at some point you will actually get your 3 bureau credit report. The reason why I like the 3 bureau credit report is because you get to see all 3 credit bureaus on one document. You get to see what each is reporting, so you don't have to go look at them separately. You can see the columns, and if somebody reported you late or if somebody didn't report you at all. But more importantly, you can look at that credit score. And when you get your 3-bureau credit report at myfico.com, you will get your FICO scores, but then you will also get the FICO score for a car loan. You'll get the FICO score for a mortgage. You'll get the FICO score for a credit card. This is very important. For those of you who are starting your businesses and you decide that you need a line of credit to support your growth in your business, before you apply for credit, you want to know what that score is. And you don't just want to know what the score is that you get on. There are literally dozens of free credit scoring services. You may see them on social media. You see them in the news. I'm not going to say any of them because I don't want to discount any one of those services. What I am going to say to you is that in my 30 years of doing this, the only place that I can go to get a score that I know is guaranteed to be the score that the creditor is going to see, that's at myfico.com. Okay? So that's what you want to do for that. I'm also going to add to the homework. Well, yes, I'm going to add to the homework, and I'm going to ask you to go through the credit responsibility checklist. That will be made available to you, and it will be on the website at deltafoundation.net. Okay? It will be made available. It will be on the website at deltafoundation.net. It'll be a part of the documents that you can see when you look at the replay for today's session. And then you can also go to lynnrichardson.org, my free community group, and you can also get it there. And you can also engage and ask questions. So let's get ready for Q&A. Let's go on and get started.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, Dr. Lynn. How do I access the Legacy Wellness Needs Assessment?
The needs assessment is go to asklyn.org, and that will be sent out to you.
What are the best options to pay down credit card debt?
The best options to pay down credit card debt. I'm not exactly sure the context of the question, so I'm going to answer it the best way I can. And if this answer is insufficient, please feel free to submit that question and restate it so that I can clearly identify what it is that's being asked. The best option for paying down debt is to pay it. I'm not exactly sure what other way to do it. It's to, actually contact the creditors and set up a payment plan and to pay those debts. The second thing that I would say to that is using the debt snowball method. So take the credit account with the lowest balance, pay that off with any extra money you have. So if you were used to paying $100 a month on that credit account, and now you have an extra $200, pay $300. You'll pay that credit account off in a short amount of time. Once you pay that off, you're going to feel happy. You're going to feel wellness. You're going to feel successful. So now you take the $300, because you had $200 extra dollars that you were adding to the $100, take the $300 and now add it to your next account with the lowest payment. Now, every month you still need to make all the payments, but you're going to put your extra money into the lowest account, the account with the lowest balance. That's going to help you get some wins and make you feel confident and strong. So that's how I recommend you go about in terms of the best option for paying debt. If that is not sufficient, please ask that question again and be more specific with the request. Thank you.
What is the best way to get business credit without using your personal credit history?
One of the best ways to get business credit is to have a business and to have a business that is actually producing something. So when you have a business, and it's one of the things that I teach in how to build business credit, it's one of the courses that I teach in New Wealth University. But one of the things that I say is you can get business credit if you have a healthy cash flow. Let's say you sell books, or let's say you do online classes, or let's say you've got, beauty care orders coming in consistently, and you are using PayPal, or you're using Shopify, or you're using Square. You're using one of those services to manage your orders. First of all, you want to use one service. If you have a business, you don't want to send to everybody and say, you can pay me via Zelle, Cash App, Venmo. No, you want to actually send them a link so they can make that payment via a link on your store. And when they make that payment via PayPal or what have you, you've got 2 or 3 ways to use that payment history and use your sales history for future credit. Shopify gives capital advances. Square gives capital advances. PayPal gives capital advances, as well as there are organizations that will give you a capital advance. Now, at this point, they're going to look at your bank statements, which is why it's very important. Remember, I said to make sure you have a bank account. Do not receive your money via Cash App and then spend that money from Cash App. Cash App cannot help you get credit. If you receive money from Cash App, transfer the money to your checking account. If you receive money from from Venmo, transfer the money to your checking account. If you receive money from PayPal, I know people who receive money from PayPal and then they use their PayPal credit card to pay whatever they're paying. No, transfer that money to your checking account. So now you've got multiple ways to show cash flow, and your bank account is one of them. But that's one of the best ways to build your business credit without necessarily using your personal credit. Now, they will look at your credit score in some cases. So that's why you want to do both. I don't know of any creditor that will only look at your business credit and completely ignore your personal credit. One of the things that I do is when I buy a car, I never buy a car in my personal name. It's a business expense. I walk in there with my articles of incorporation, my EIN for my business, and the car goes in the business name. The car gets paid with the business account. The insurance is in the business name. So it's a tax write-off. I'm able to document things. But they're still looking at my personal credit to determine what my interest rate is going to be for the business lease. So you want to keep all in mind. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it.
Does closing credit card accounts hurt your credit?
Closing a credit card account with a long history can hurt the credit. Yes.
If you already have one credit card and trying to reestablish credit, should you also look for a secured credit card with one of those entities?
Yes. Having a secured credit card is a good idea in order to reestablish reputable credit with reputable organizations. Yes.
I believe this question is referring to the credit responsibility list. They are asking what was number 13.
Number 13, I don't remember, and I'm afraid to change my screen right now. So I will go and get that screen at the end. If we could do that.
That sounds fair.
And also remember that the entire list will be made available. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. What tips do you have for getting rid of the identity theft from your credit report?
If there is identity theft, you're going to have to file a police report. You're going to need to talk to the credit bureaus every single day. You're going to need to talk to the creditor to find out who actually stole your credit and how you can track them down. You're going to have to be diligent. You're going to have to be persistent. It does not go away easily, but that's also one of the reasons why I say monitor your credit. in order to maximize your credit health. Because if there's an inquiry, I know it every day. If there's anything, I also have a statement, a credit freeze on my credit report that says if anyone comes to apply for credit, you have to call me first to verify. I also have identity theft protection with Norton, with LifeLock, which is made by Norton. So I recommend that you do everything in your power to prevent yourself from identity theft. And if you are an unfortunate victim, then you're going to have to go through all those steps, and you're going to have to treat it like a part-time job, maybe even a full-time job. It's going to take your time and your energy. So do everything to avoid it if possible.
Okay, I think we've answered how do viewers get the checklist. You're going to be again on deltafoundation.net and at the lynnrichardson.org
Yes.
Group. Okay. Thank you. My lease is ending. It has been a good arrangement with no maintenance over nearly 3 years. What factors do I consider in getting a new lease or purchase the car that has served me well?
The factors to consider is the car that you already have. If that's been good for you, then if it's not broke, don't fix it. The second factor to consider is to do actually research and find out which cars have the longest life with little repairs. With, there are certain cars that are very well known for staying around for a long time, that drive very well into 2, 3, or 400,000 miles if it's going to be a lease. So I'm always going to say research and allow history to be a good indication of your future.
I have credit cards that have an annual fee. I don't use them, but I hate paying that monthly fee. Should I keep them open?
Whether or not you're going to keep a credit card that has an annual fee is a personal decision. You've got to weigh many different things. What value does that card provide? Do you have the ability to use it for points? Can you afford it in your budget? And if you say it's an annual fee, but they're charging you monthly, then is there a way to actually make it an annual fee for a lesser amount? So that's going to be a personal decision. And there really is no yes or no. It all depends on what works for you. I have certain cards with an annual fee because of all the other benefits I get with those memberships. And then there are other cards where I wouldn't dare pay an annual fee. So that would certainly be something that you'd want to think about and weigh the pros and the cons. And if the benefits outweigh the cost, then there you go.
If you are a co-signer on a student loan or car loan, can you take yourself off the account before it is paid off?
If you are a co-signer, you cannot be removed from that account ever on anything. The only way to be removed from that account is to pay it off. And then even when you pay it off, it's still going to show up on your credit report. So if you co-sign for a car and you no longer want to be on that car, that person is going to have to refinance that loan, get a completely new loan without you on it in order for you to no longer be attached to that vehicle.
Awesome. I have a 4.30% APY savings account. Is that considered high yield? Also, I started my home-based consulting business for research data management. Bravo.
Excellent. You should look at your terminology for the account that you open to determine if it's a high yield savings account. I wouldn't be able to tell you that just by the interest rate. I wouldn't be able to say that definitively. If it's a high yield savings account, your paperwork or contact your banking institution to find out if that's exactly what you have. I wouldn't know if it's a CD. I couldn't really tell you what it is without seeing the paperwork, but you should certainly be able to find that information out with a little bit of investigating.
Dr. Richardson, could you please repeat the homework?
The homework is to, and it's on the screen now, it's to order your 3-bureau credit report. at myfico.com. And it's also to go through the credit responsibility checklist. And that will be made available at deltafoundation.net. And it's also going to be available at lynnrichardson.org. And you can always also ask me any question at asklynn.org and get those answers as well.
So if you pay off a credit card or pay off credit cards and leave open and not use, how will that affect your credit score?
A low balance or zero balance is going to be healthy for the credit report. Now, at some point, the creditor may close the account if you never use it, which that could in turn hurt you if there's enough history there. So if you're going to have a credit card, it may be a good idea to use it every now and then. But having a credit card open without using it is good for your debt to income ratio. It means you have a zero balance and a high credit limit. That's a great thing. You just want to be careful about the number of times. I've actually had a couple of situations where credit cards were closed for family members of mine because they never used them.
All right, that looks like we got one more. All right, the 6 months of savings, is that based on nets or gross income? I love that one.
That should be for your monthly bills. Whatever your monthly living expenses are, you want 6 months worth of monthly living expenses. So if you want, if your monthly living expenses for all of your bills and groceries and gas and everything else that you do, if that's $3,000 a month, then you need to eventually get to the place where you've got an $18,000 emergency fund.
This is a great opportunity to learn how to build generational wealth. Is it possible to compile the information, homework, and workbooks for purchase to use in our communities?
It absolutely is possible to do that. And we will provide more information about that by the end of session 9 or 10. Thank you for asking. That's a great question.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. My husband has an LLC for public speaking. If he wants to invest, does he need a different LLC if he wants to invest?
I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know what the setup of the LLC look like. The LLC will stipulate the organizing documents, will state what can be done. And so without having that knowledge, I wouldn't be able to say if the LLC needed to be different.
Okay. All right, I think we have reached the end.
Okay. Well, we are excited. I cannot wait. Please don't underestimate next week. Next week is Adopt a Giving Mindset. I think it's going to blow your mind. It's going to be just as powerful with just as much powerful information and things to add to your wellness toolkit. And I am excited about it all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lynn. You always give us wonderful information to live by. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I earlier when I made my announcements of the winners, I failed to tell you that what we want is your information to be sent to FHWP@deltafoundation.net. That information has been scrolling across the screen. We want your name, your address, and your telephone number or email address so that we can make sure that we get to you the information or the prizes that we have specified tonight. And again, want to remind you, everyone, please do the survey. The Survey Monkey link is is in the chat. Please make sure you complete that survey. Now, what we're going to do that survey every week. And from that survey list, we're going to pick winners. So if you don't get picked next week, you might get picked the week after that. So we want to make sure that you get to do that survey, do it every week, starting tonight, next week, and doing the Q&A. And I will be selecting 50 people to get a prize. So make sure that you do that survey. And I thank you so much. And our tech team, they will put some information up on the screen. And I will say good night, and I'll see you next week because I'll be in the chair again.